presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
A line drive off the glove of Murphy. Chisenhall remains sizzling. Deep right field. Goodbye. It is gone. Three more here in the fourth for the thundering Lonnie Chisenhall. Lonnie Chisenhall with his fourth hit of the night.
Man, is he on fire.
This one is gone! Lonnie Chisenhall, you have got to be kidding me. He has equaled the incredible feat of Chris James, who drove in 9 runs in a ball game. A night to remember for Lonnie Chisenhall. Wow. From Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri, it's Cleveland Indians baseball tonight. The Tribe makes its first foray of the year into Royals country. They'll open up a brief 2-game series tonight against Kansas City. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. We witnessed a historic game last night for Lonnie Chisenhall. He hit everything in sight, but Rick, what he's been doing isn't just limited to last night. He's been on fire for a long time.
He's been doing this all year. This guy had a night like you do in Little League when you're a young kid. I mean, anything he hit it out of the ballpark. He hit it over the first baseman's head. He hit it in the left center field. It was a night to remember, and a lot of people are going to remember the night he had. When you have 9 RBIs, you hit 3 home runs, you get 5 hits. He did a lot of damage last night on his own. But, Matt, he has been doing this all year, and it's something that I think that the Indians have been waiting for this guy to do for a long, long time.
Well, I mean, he steps up in his last at-bat. It's already a blowout, and he hits another 3-run jack to cap off his night. But look at those numbers.
Well, it is. 10 for 17 in the series, 13 RBIs. That's the most since 1962. And then in his last 10 games, 22 RBIs. Looking for somebody to carry the load. Lonnie Chisenhall has done just that, and hopefully that will continue, and I don't see why not.
How big was Lonnie Chisenhall's night in the game against Texas? Well, big enough that Cooperstown, New York called. They won his bat for the Hall of Fame. That's a big night. When we come back, we're going to talk about tonight's pitching matchup as Corey Kluber will throw the rubber for the Tribe. That's straight ahead. McDonald's. I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By Panini's. Get overstuffed at Panini's Bar and Grill. And by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. The Royals were rained out at home last night against the New York Yankees, but Mother Nature has moved the rain on out the way, and the Indians and the Royals are just about ready to get underway with this brief two-game series. Welcome back. Matt Underwood, Rick Manning, pitching matchup tonight. Corey Kluber for the Tribe. He had his streak stopped last time out. He had struck out at least 8 batters in 6 consecutive starts. Only fanned 4 against Boston, but hopefully Kluber can pick right up where he left off the month of May.
Well, he's been the best for the Indians this year. He's had an outstanding slider. One more strikeout tonight will give him 100 on the year. He's got an excellent cutter. He, as a matter of fact, earlier this year, complete game, 101 pitches against the Kansas City Royals, allowed an unearned run, and that was it. He's 3-0 in his career, so it's a good guy to get this series started with. He's facing left-hander Jason Vargas. He went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits and a couple runs against the Indians earlier with a no decision.
Vargas has a good record, good ERA, but in his last 3 starts in the division, he's 0-2, and he's given up 16 runs in his 15 2/3 innings of work. So we'll see if the Indians can lay it on them tonight and keep their road winning streak alive. They won 3 in a row now on the road for the first time this year. The play-by-play between the Tribe and the Royals is coming up next. Your Northeast Ohio Honda dealers. By the Cleveland Clinic. Call today for an appointment today. And by the Northeast Ohio Ford dealers. Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Ready for baseball tonight. Indians and the Royals. Kansas City has taken the field. Left-hander Jason Vargas will oppose the Indians tonight, making his warm-up tosses. And while he does that, here's a look at Terry Francona. Starting 9 brought to you by Progressive. Michael Bourne in the leadoff spot, followed by Asdrubal Cabrera. Then Michael Brantley hits third. Jason Kipnis batting cleanup. Carlos Santana fifth. Then it's Yan Gomes, followed by Lonnie Chisenhall, coming off a 5-hit game last night in Texas. Then Ryan Rayburn and David Murphy batting ninth.
Our GMC starting pitcher tonight, Jason Vargas, is a 31-year-old left-hander, signed a 4-year free agent contract with Kansas City in November. He's having a nice year, 5-2, 328. His last 3 games have been very good, an ERA of 177. Allowed just 4 earned runs in his last 20 1/3 innings. had a no decision against the Tribe earlier this year back in Cleveland on the 23rd of April. 6 hits in 6 innings, gave up 3 runs. A couple of them earned in that no decision. Let's check out the Kia defense behind them. They have made 37 errors, rated 8th in the league. It'll be Gordon in left, Dyson in center, Kane is in right. Moustakas at third, Escobar at short, Infante at second, Hosmer is at first, Perez doing the catching.
Doug Eddings to call the balls and strikes. Corey Blazer at first, Marvin Hudson at second, and the crew chief Brian Honora down at third. This brief game, 2-game series about to get underway. The Indians took 3 out of 4 from Kansas City earlier this year back in Cleveland. Vargas's pitch is down low, ball 1. Our game time temperature tonight is 67 degrees. It was raining up until about 25, maybe 30 minutes ago. It started raining yesterday afternoon. Rained all through last night. The Royals and Yankees game was postponed. It was raining when we arrived here in Kansas City at about 1 o'clock in the morning. Rained all day today. Some areas, including right here near the ballpark, received over 2 inches of rain in the last 24 hours. Bourne hanging in there, count 2-2.
But this ballpark still looks in beautiful condition, regardless of how much rain they received.
Two pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Let's go down to Katie Witham. Katie, what's the Indians' plan of attack against Vargas tonight?
Well, Matt, I heard you guys mention his fastball, his changeup, but Terry Francona said today, be careful of the breaking ball from Jason Vargas. They know that he stays around the plate. He doesn't strike out a lot. He doesn't walk a lot. But the key today, Francona wants to see his team take the approach straight through the middle of the field. And when you get one, make sure you get a hold of it.
Yeah, well, that's pretty true. When you get a guy that's not overpowering, you stay on the baseball, use the middle of the field.
There's Drupal Cabrera taking the strike.
He is 2-2 in his career against the Indians. Remember, he pitched in Seattle. He'll move you back off the plate to get that changeup working away.
Drupal Cabrera's had good numbers against Vargas. Just inside 2-1. Cabrera coming off a series against the Rangers in which he went 7 for 20 with 5 runs scored. Punches that one in the air to left. Ball carries pretty well though to left center field. Gordon runs it down, 2 away. Keys to the game brought to you by Akron Children's Hospital. Early offense has been a key to their success of late. Corey Kluber's never lost to Kansas City. And what do you think, Lonnie Encore?
Well, no, not for 9 RBIs and 3 homers. That may be a once-in-a-lifetime game.
Lonnie admitted as much after the ball game last night, saying, I realize this is a once-in-a-lifetime situation.
But he had the opportunity to experience it, and he loved it. He was very humble. I'm sure that's all anybody, if you watched any highlights, that's all you saw for the last 24 hours was Chisenhall swinging and hitting everything in sight. And good for him.
Michael Brantley looks at a second strike from Vargas, and it's 0-2. Brantley went 5 for 17 in the Rangers series. He scored 5 runs last night. 1 ball and 2 strikes. for Michael Brantley since 1940, the 5 runs in a game. He, Joe Carter, Mike Hargrove, and Rocky Colavito. Pulls it just foul up the first base side. Vargas with a 1-2. Michael's batting average 10th best in the American League. Rips this one deep right field. Kane won't get it. It'll go up against the fence on a bounce, and then he misplays it, and Brantley will still just hold right there at second base with a 2-out double.
Yeah, he messed around inside once too often for Michael, and he pulled those hands in and got him. That ball was inside. He hit a good pitch after being down on the count 0-2. They continued to try and stay in there, and Vargas just doesn't throw hard enough. Kane, not much you can do there. It's an automatic double.
It's going to bring up Jason Kipnis. All of a sudden, Jason Kipnis has put together a nice little 7-game hitting streak.
I see where the Royals called up a left-handed reliever, Donnie Joseph, for this series because of all the left-handers that the Indians have to put him into the bullpen, and they will have 3 left-handers available. Ned Yost will for this short 2-game series.
On most nights when your cleanup hitter has 4 runs driven in, 3 hits, 3 runs scored, that's going to be the highlight. That's going to be the big story. But Kipnis' night was just completely dwarfed by his teammate Lonnie Chisenhall.
Well, didn't 3 guys, 2, 3, 4, 5 have 3, 3, 3, and 5 hits? That's it's a box score to look at and remember.
Michael Brantley in scoring position with 2 down here in the first. Got him looking. Vargas punches out Kipnis. No runs, a hit, a man left. Now the Kansas City Royals are coming to bat when we come back. Back here at Kauffman Stadium, let's take a look at Ned Yost's starting lineup tonight for the Royals, brought to you by Toyota. Gerard Dyson in the leadoff spot, then it's Omar Infante. Eric Hosmer hitting third, Billy Butler batting cleanup, Alex Gordon fifth, Salvador Perez sixth, and it's Lorenzo Cain, Mike Moustakas, and Alcides Escobar, who's hit an 8 straight.
GMC starting pitcher Corey Kluber. He is making his 50th career start, his 14th this year. And Corey 6-3 with a 323 earned run average. His last start had a 2-hour and 28-minute rain delay prior to first pitch, but he ended up going 6 1/3 innings against the Red Sox. So no decision. And he's pitched a gem against Kansas City earlier this year in April. Complete game. 11 strikeouts on 101 pitches.
After that game, Ned Yost said he just handcuffed us. He gave us nothing to hit all game long. Dyson swings and fouls him out of play, 1-1. The Indians come in having won 3 straight on the road and 9 of their last 10 overall. They're 2 games over 500 and just 2 games out of first place now, though they've played 4 games more than the Tigers have to this point in the season. A lot of that has to do with rainouts. Strike called. Kansas City, they're a game below the break-even mark. Royals have won back-to-back games in 5 of their last 7. And Kansas City currently sits in 4th place, but just 3.5 games out of the lead. Breaking ball down and in, Dyson would not chase.
Yeah, you look at the 2 teams here, and you look at their divisional play, and the Royals are dead last with 6-15 against the Central Division. The Indians had a hold on that earlier, but they're just 14-12. Detroit is 12-10, and Chicago's 15-11.
Line drive base hit left center field. Brantley over to cut it off. Dyson with tremendous speed holds with a leadoff single.
Check the Kia Indians defense behind Kluber tonight. It's Brantley in left, Bourne at center, Murphy is right, Chisenhall at third, Cabrera at short, Kipnis is at second, Santana at first with Gomes catching. Well, Dyson's he's off to a good start this year against the Indians. He's now 7 for 12 against the Tribe.
Omar Infante batting just .230 on the year. Double play ball to short. Cabrera to Kipnis. On to Santana, and the Indians turn 2. Taylor made.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for anything better, especially with the speed. You get that first pitch and you get the ground ball double play. Taylor made.
This is the divisional records that Rick was talking about, and you see there the Indians had a slow start, but they're very respectable, 14-12 in the division.
Everybody's over 500 except Kansas City, so that's I think pretty strange. That's why this division's so bunched up right now.
Yeah, I mean, the hard thing to figure out as Hosmer bangs one up the middle, Kipnis will glove it, throw it, and the inning is over. We'll continue that conversation when we come back. No score after 1 in Kansas City. Kansas City. For the Indians, it'll be Carlos Santana to lead it off. Then Yan Gomes, Lonnie Chisenhall. Santana was putting together a pretty good series against the Texas Rangers before the bottom fell out on him yesterday. He went 0 for 5 in the series finale. But, you know, as the saying goes, somebody has to make the outs. And
well, yeah.
There was a game many, many years ago. We talked about Lonnie Chisenhall's big night. Yeah, last night in Texas, the last guy to drive in 9 runs was Chris James. And in that game, the Indians blew out the Oakland A's. And Sandy Alomar was the guy who didn't get to join the party in that game. He went 0 for 6.
I don't think Sandy wants you to tell these people that's long forgotten. But you know what? I mean, been around long enough. You'll see teams that go out and have a hit parade like they did last night. You score 15 to 20 runs, you get 20 hits. Someone's always going to be around that just doesn't join it.
Somebody gets left out, right?
Yeah.
Where was my invitation?
Yeah. I guess I missed that one.
The 3-1 to Santana. Hard hit ground ball into left field, a base hit. Hit that with authority. And the Indians get their leadoff man aboard here in the second. Katie, did you get a chance to ask Sandy Alomar about the game that Chris James had back in 1991?
I did. He smiled and told me right in front of Jason Giambi that he was the equivalent to what Jason Giambi was last night, and Giambi agreed. But what I thought was interesting is he said right around Chisenhall's 4th at bat last night, he immediately thought to himself, Chris James. You know, they came over together, Matt, in the trade from San Diego, and he said, I remember that night well. And it was so similar to what we saw from Chisenhall last night. Great at bats, fouling pitches off until he got a hold of a mistake the pitcher made. And he said there's nothing more exciting than watching your teammate have a night like that, other than maybe having that night yourself.
No, and Katie spoke to Mike Aviles, and he said, he told Katie, you know, when a guy's hot like that, you can't wait till the lineup turns over again so you can watch him hit
give
again.
Him up, and you know what? Get guys on and give them the opportunity. Yeah, that's like that in any sport. When a guy has a night like that, whether it's baseball, basketball, or football, you want to see the guy go, you know, lights out no matter what he does.
In basketball, feed him.
Yeah,
keep passing it to him. In football, get him the ball. I mean, that's...
Yeah, whether you're the receiver or the running back, you can remember guys running for a couple hundred yards in the ball game, you know, as a running back. You just want to see it because it's a special night all the way around.
Yan Gomes sends a towering pop on the infield. Escobar will grab it. 1 away. Our great clip of the game. Let's go back to last night. Lonnie had 5 hits. The first one just ticked off the glove of Donnie Murphy at first base. The rest of them were hit so hard and so far, nobody had a chance to catch any of them. And that's just how absolutely locked in he was. And Lonnie very humbly afterwards said, hey, it's a great feeling. I don't know the history of it, but you know, he was just happy that the team ended up winning the series.
We noticed it last night, though. He wasn't choking up on the bat, and he didn't in that Texas series where he was choking up so much this year. He went down on the bat and he started hitting with a lot more authority.
Yeah, he told me he felt like he was getting jammed, you know, and he said, I was jamming myself a little bit.
When he was choked up.
So he said, I decided to go back down to the bottom of the knob. He said, I was working with Ty Van Berkeley and some extra hitting. He said, I just felt like I had a little more bat control, and it felt a lot better. And he said, I was thinking to myself that if I got to 2 strikes, I would choke up on the bat.
That's what I like to hear, because you go down there until you get to 2, and then when you're in situations, you can shorten your swing to try and put the ball in play.
But last night, he said, you know, it was, what was the score? 14-6. There's a high drive right field. Kane will make the catch. He said, you know, in that situation, the score being what it was, I figured I'm not going to choke up with 2 strikes in this at bat. And he didn't need to, obviously. Stat of the game brought to you by Buick. With a game of 5 or more hits, 3 or more homers, 9 or more runs batted in, Lonnie is in very select company.
Yeah, no question.
And he's the only one to have a perfect 5 for 5 night of those guys. Up comes Ryan Rayburn. Rayburn in there at the DH position tonight. Rayburn has more hits against left-handers than he does righties so far this year. But he also has 20 more at-bats against the southpaw. So the batting average is quite a bit lower than it is against the righties. Upstairs.
Well, the one thing I look at Vargas, he's 3-2 here at home, but he's 2-0 on the road. He's pitched much better on the road, the third best ERA, and this is a pretty darn good park to pitch in for the style of pitcher he is. You know, you can utilize the big part of the outfield, let those outfielders run. This is certainly a ballpark where there's not going to be a lot of home runs. Especially on a night like tonight. It's like an autumn night here. It's a little cool.
The 3-1. Fouled right back to full count. Normally, anytime you come to Kansas City after the calendar turns to June, you figure you're going to do a lot of sweating because it can get humid and warm in a hurry. But 67 degrees at game time here tonight, far below normal. Runner goes on a 3-2 to Rayburn, and it's popped back out of play. Santana led off the inning with a solid base hit in the left field, but since then, a couple of easy pop fly outs. Now a 3-2 count for Ryan Rayburn. High pop, another one straight up in the air. Escobar calls for it. Gordon says, get out of my way. He takes it, inning over. No runs, another hit, a man left. Bottom of the second, no score in Kansas City. are participating in the Home Run Challenge. Every home run in this game will raise $602 for prostate cancer research. You can make a pledge by going online to homerunchallenge.org. Billy Butler, Alex Gordon, Salvador Perez due for Kansas City here in the second. Corey Kluber gets it over for first pitch. Strike. Back to the screen. It's 0-2.
This is not a good year for Billy Butler. Look at that. 1 home run, 21 RBIs. And, you know, he's down to 249. This is a guy that in the past we watched him. He is just a good pure hitter. Always has been since getting called up to the big leagues. But he is having a tough year.
Boy, he is rung up by a Corey Kluber front door slider. And that is out number 1. Let's go down to Katie once again. Katie, the cut fastball has been an absolutely outstanding pitch for Corey Kluber, hasn't it?
It has. And what's interesting, Matt, when you look at the numbers overall in all of baseball, it's the 7th most valuable pitch is Corey Kluber's cutter. And what that means, essentially, Mickey Callaway said, is the way he's getting strikes, swings and misses, and outs made on that pitch. The difference this year in what you're seeing is his ability to command the cutter better than ever before. And the reason it's effective, Matt, it comes out of his hand looking exactly like his fastball, and especially against right-handed hitters, you see that movement cut away very late in the zone, and really they don't have a chance.
You can't really react to it, can you, Rick? Once you've committed to it.
No, you don't. You take it a lot of times because it does. It bears into the left-handers. It goes away from the right-handers, and it's a pitch that's tough to pick up. I mean, he has such good breaking balls. There's one there. It's a little late, but you see it tied him up. You know, he also has the fastball that can come back. He can lock it. He started at the left-hander's front hip and throw it inside and come back over the plate, and that freezes him.
Oh, another nasty off-speed pitch, and he strikes out Gordon 2 down.
So that was his 100th and 101st strikeout. This one is the slider, and they're 2 different pitches. That one has much more break to it, and it's got a lot more depth going down, and you know, it's just quality pitching. He's got 3 to 4 above average pitches.
Now up comes Salvador Perez. Hey! 94-mile-an-hour fastball at the knees, so you can see why Kluber has had the kind of success he's had so far this year. When you can run your fastball up in the mid-90s and locate it as well as he has for most of the year, then you can add into that a fastball that looks like the 94, and then it just moves a few inches at the end and goes off somebody's knuckles or off the end of the bat. And then you come with a slider that buries a guy.
He's throwing strikes with every pitch. Yeah. He's throwing like 65 to 70% strikes every time out there. You know, the one count that the hitters are doing the most damage is on the first pitch to Kluber because they're hitting over 520 when they put it in play because he throws strikes. He doesn't walk many, and he tries to pitch to contact, and he wants to get you out on 3 pitches or less.
Well, it took him 4 pitches this time, but he gets Perez, and the Royals go 1-2-3. No score after 2 in Kansas City.
Game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, scores, stats, audio, free MLB TV, game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Indians.com.
David Murphy going to lead it off for the Indians here in the third. He's batting ninth tonight.
Not a bad guy to have hitting ninth in your lineup, huh?
He's coming off a great series against his old club down in Texas.
Yeah, he had a ball down there playing in his former ballpark when you have that much success. How about the catch he made last night? That diving catch into right center field.
Went 6 for 12 in the last 3 games. All wins for the Indians against Texas.
And he's hitting 11 of the last 12. 372 clip.
Big bounce to the first. Hosmer with the flip, and it was close, but Vargas beat Murphy to the bag for out number 1.
Well, that's what you do, boy. You get down the line, you run hard every time, and he gets him by a step. But you make him work for it. Vargas had to hustle to get him out there. A lot of times you'll see where Hosmer will take that play by himself, so they're going to walk and give him some time.
Top of the order now, Michael Bourne, who struck out his first time up. Base hit in the left field for Michael Bourne. So the Indians have had a hit in all 3 innings now. Don't forget to tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have your photo shown during one of our telecasts this year. It's all courtesy of AT&T. Here is Asdrubal Cabrera, who flied to left back in the first. Chops it foul. Cabrera with 16 multiple hit games so far this year. He's had 10 games in which he's had 2 hits. 5 times he's had 3 hits, and 1 4-hit game back in May against Minnesota. Time had been called before Vargas made a maneuver.
Yeah, trying to hold it a little bit with Bourne on first base.
I wonder what the track is like, because while it wasn't pouring down rain, there was a considerable amount of drizzle before the game started tonight, and they never had the tarp covering the field at that point. Falling in left field, and a diving, no catch. And Kane is able to throw to second still to get the force on Bourne. Michael was completely hung out to dry. He had to wait for the umpire, and the umpire took a while, Corey Glazer, to make a signal. And by the time he did, Bourne couldn't get to second base.
You know, that's too bad, because you can't read that ball. And it wasn't Trav. It was a good call by the umpire. Watch the play that Escobar makes. He picks it like a first baseman. And I'll tell you, Bourne got back onto his horse to try and slide into second base once he realized it wasn't. There's the pump. And then look at that. He picks it like a first baseman. So he saved an error right there. Yeah, nothing. You can't do anything as a base runner there, because if it's a catch and you go out there to second base, he throws behind you, it's a double play, you're out of the inning.
So that goes as a line drive to right field, fielder's choice.
Yeah, 9-6. I didn't think he was going to get there, but he did make a nice play on it and a nice pick.
Brantley doubled to right field in the first inning.
Look at him. He thought he was trying to decoy the ump. Well, you know.
Hey, I got one.
Well, he'll go in there. It doesn't matter now. They can go and replay it. You're not going to fool him anymore. The ump made a nice call.
Well, lit outside, and Brantley with a terrific eye at the plate counts 3-0 with Jason Kipnis on deck. Vargas maybe saying to Brantley, you're either going to hit my pitch or I'm not going to pitch to you at all. He pitched to him, and Brantley socks a line drive. Caught by Cain. Wow, Lorenzo Cain saving the day for Vargas here in the third inning. A heads-up play on the short hop, and a terrific snare of that scorching line drive. No score, bottom of the third. Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one tonight, to stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Well, Lorenzo Cain, a couple of defensive plays to get the Royals out of the top half of this inning. We'll lead off the bottom half.
Yeah, he was tested both ways, wasn't he? One in, one over his head, and he was up for the occasion.
Pitch down low, ball one. Fouls it right back. There really isn't any question about Lorenzo Cain's talent or his ability. It's just a matter of can he stay healthy and stay on the field. Just missed inside. He spent time on the disabled list this year. Spent time on the DL last year and the year before that. And again, I don't think anybody's, it's not a case where anyone's questioning his toughness or his ability to play through pain. It's just that sometimes it's unfortunate, but you get labeled as a guy who can't stay healthy.
Well, it happens to a few players, man, where you just can't stay on the field, and you can't help your team if you're not on the field.
Santana will flip it to Kluber. One away. Rick, last inning we were talking about the Corey Kluber cutter, and Katie alluded to this statistic. Corey Kluber, his cutter is rated as the 7th most valuable pitch in baseball, according to Fangraphs.com. Yu Darvish, his slider is at the top of that list. And you saw his teammate Justin Masterson on that list as well. Down low, ball one to Mike Moustakas. Moustakas has had his problems this year. He's euphemistically referring to this as his new season since he was recalled from AAA. He hit 152 before he was sent down to AAA Omaha, and since returning he's hit just 148. But what the Royals have noticed is just a better overall attitude, which they're hoping will translate into more productivity.
Well, they call it a better attitude here, but it's an appreciation where he went down to the minor leagues and you miss the big leagues. He's got to hit, he's got to produce. He was 4 for 16 in the first 4-game series against the Indians with a couple of home runs and 5 RBIs. That's a lot of his year.
Walked on 4 straight. We don't see that very often from Kluber. Time now for a Mazda game break. Here's Al Pulaski. All right, thanks, Al. If they can keep Edwin Encarnacion in the yard, they might have a chance. They couldn't last night. And the Blue Jays ended up winning that on a walk-off. Alcides Escobar having a solid year, batting at the bottom of the lineup. Wow, Kluber's missed on 6 straight. I don't know if he's done that all year long.
Well, that's why Gomes is going to jog out and have a talk with him. That'll give us time to send out a birthday wish to Sylvia Hazeltine, who is turning 90. It's a little belated a couple days ago from Conneaut. So Sylvia, very happy birthday to you.
Kluber induced a double play ball in the first inning. Escobar has only banged into 3 this year. He runs well, even from the right side of the plate.
It's a perfect guy, though, at the plate. And Escobar, you could put the hit and run on. He hits behind the runner. I know that Moustakas doesn't run very well, but Kluber's always around the plate, and this guy can handle the bat. But here's your count to do it on a 2-1 pitch. I know you're at the bottom part of the lineup. You do have 1 out. Understand that. This Escobar, man, he knows he's 17 doubles, 1 triple. He's stolen 16 out of 17 bases.
But he stays inside the ball, too.
Yeah, he can hit that hole. He can go first to third, and that's probably what they'll look for.
Runner holds, and Escobar lines it to left.
He handles the bat very well.
So the bottom part of the order doing some damage here. 2 on, 1 out in the 3rd inning.
Well, Kluber had to throw a strike there, and he got too much of the plate, and Escobar made him pay. He went and put a good swing on it and pulled the ball. Only the 2nd hit. So they are 2 for 8 that first time through. They'll go back to the top of the lineup, and Dyson, who has that other hit, will be hitting now with runners on 1st and 2nd.
Well, he's 5 for 12 in his career against Kluber. And he's 7 for 12 on the year against the Indians. To Kipnis. They'll go to second. There's and no. Oh, yes, they do give him the out. And out comes Ned Yost to potentially argue the call by Marvin Hudson. I had a tough time figuring out what he was signaling at first, but they do get the out at second base.
Well, let's take a look at it. They can review this, I believe. There's Kipnis. You got to get the first one. There it is.
Oh, no, I don't know.
I think that one will be overturned. He never had possession of that at all. And I don't care if they change the rule or not, but I think you're going to see them challenge this.
Yeah, they are.
I don't blame them. I do not blame them whatsoever. They got to take a look at it.
I think Cabrera was thinking about turning the double play as quick as possible, and they end up getting no outs.
You see, because of the speed that Dyson possesses, you want to turn it, but you have to get the first out. You can't get caught into rushing yourself, and that's how errors are made. And the Indians made a couple last night, and they just showed the replay on the scoreboard here, and you can hear the crowd with their feelings. So they're going to put the headsets on, and they're going to get back to it. We'll see it. Don't be surprised if it's overturned.
This won't take long, I don't imagine.
And that would end up being an error, I would imagine, on Cabrera if it works out that way. Here's Kipnis. He fields it and gives him a good feed. It's the quickness. The foot's on the base, but never really had it in his glove. His glove just turned. And here come the headsets. And watch this. Safe. Yes, and yeah, just he rushed. He got in a hurry. So instead of having 2 outs, men on 1st and 3rd at the worst, it's going to be bases loaded with 1 out, and then Fonte going to be the hitter.
Now they're going to make Corey Kluber have to work a little bit harder to get out of this inning. He's got Omar Infante coming up, who rounded into a double play in the 1st inning. I mean, Dyson's a tough guy to double up. I don't know that they would have. It would have been close. It would have been interesting.
Sure would. I mean, it would have been close. He very easily could have had it. Had the double play. They didn't rush it there. It was rushed right here. But you gotta make the play. They have 41. They have allowed 41 unearned runs on the year, which is by far the most. So now they're looking for a way to escape here. Bases loaded, 1 out situation.
Omar Infante, 1 hit in his last 22 at bats. At the knees, a called strike. Infante 0 for 1 on the year with the bases loaded.
Well, Kluber going to try and pick his defense up here.
To center, it's going to drop for a hit. Ford tries to throw to 3rd, and no chance. Royals take the lead. Kluber bit the dust behind home plate. He appears to be all right, but he went down awkwardly, attempting to back that throw up.
off the end of the bat. That was that little cutter that he throws, and he gets it in front of Bourne. I don't know where Bourne was throwing it, but it was nowhere in the vicinity of where it was supposed to go, and that was third base. Because Escobar had to hold up, not knowing if he was going to catch that ball. So it remains bases loaded. They get one run in, and they re-rack him, and Hosmer will be the hitter.
Hosmer ground out his first time up. Inside for ball one. Two balls, no strikes. Hosmer this year 0 for 3 with the bases loaded. And a count 2-1. Balls and a strike. Escobar at third, Dyson at second, and Fonte at first. And the 3-1 pitch. Broke his back, grounded to first. Santana can't find the handle to get the out. But instead of a double play and the inning being over, the Royals get another run and the inning continues. This is just unbelievable.
Well, you have opportunities. You give extra outs in the inning, you're always going to get burned. And it continues to happen. And now Callaway just wants to come out and settle Kluber down. He boxed that ground ball up to just fortunate to get an out. They still have second and third with 2 outs, and it's a 2-0 game. I think that this is just a move to settle Kluber down. Not much else you could do. It isn't his fault. His defense has let him down in the inning.
And the batter is going to be Billy Butler, who was called out on strikes his first time up. Seventh man to bat in the inning now. Butler was trying to hit one out on the highway. Came up empty. It's 0-1.
Well, that's good for Kluber when hitters try and take that big swing, and you look at this pitch down and away and go ahead all day long. That pitcher will benefit in that situation.
scores. And 2 runs will score.
Yeah, the double plays that are unturned always seem to come back and haunt you. And there was 2 in this inning that the Indians did not turn. Only 1 error was given, and it's a big 4-run inning for Kansas City. A 2-out, 2-run single for Butler, give him his 22nd and 23rd RBI, and it is 4-zip.
And the 8th man to bat is Alex Gordon. Drive, deep center, Bourne back, still going back and makes the catch. Now Kansas City taking advantage of some shoddy defense by the Tribe here in the 3rd, and they score 4 to take the early lead.
On June 20th, and you can also enjoy fireworks. The show will be set to the music of Nirvana, and Rally Alley will be open, ready to go. Pre-game music, games, fun had by all. Visit Indians.com for your ticket details.
Jason Vargas has a 4-0 lead as we go to the 4th inning, and we'll see if the Indians can out-hit their defensive mistakes here tonight. They have a hit in every inning. Jason Kipnis is going to lead off the 4th. Upstairs, ball 1. It's a swing and a miss in the count 1-2. Bags it foul at the first base line. right at the second baseman. And Fonte throws him out, one away. Injury report brought to you by the attorneys at Elkanil. Neil Walker out with an appendectomy. And a couple injuries for the Rockies. Dyer, he's got a problem with his left shoulder. It sounds like he's going to be gone for a couple of months maybe. And Eddie Butler, who just got called up, he's already on the DL. Good news for the Pirates, though, is that it makes room for their prized young prospect, who's fixing to make his debut tonight for the Pirates. Santana makes a couple of strikes. Gregory Polanco already has a base hit tonight.
It didn't take him long, did it?
No.
He was hitting second in their lineup tonight.
Yeah. Two balls, two strikes for Carlos Santana. And he goes down swinging. 2 away. Bring up Yan Gomes, who popped up on the infield his first time up. Upstairs, he missed ball 1. Gomes with a hit in 3 straight games. He went 5 for 11 in the series against the Rangers. Slowly chopped the third, and Moustakas throws him out. Indians go 1-2-3 for the first time tonight. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th. Royals up 4-0. Ohio.com. Lonnie Chisenhall and Jason Kipnis show off their dance moves in the infield. Johnny Manziel like you've never seen him before, and what you need to know about Ohio State's latest verbal commitments in football. Complete coverage of all today's action involving Ohio sports on FoxSportsOhio.com. Bottom of the fourth, Salvador Perez will lead off for Kansas City. Rounded out his only time up. Perez loves to swing the bat. He's walked 15 times in 208 at bats so far this year. 6 for his last 18 on the current homestand.
Yeah, he's a guy that's tied for the lead in home runs. The Royals are last in the league in homers with just 28 as a team.
Ooh. Kluber looked like he had a strikeout but didn't get the call.
Look at it on our Nissan pitch tracker. What do you say? It's right there on the outside part of that edge. Very well could have been. Not called a strike.
Chased one in the dirt. Gomes picks it up and applies the tag for the third strikeout of the night for Corey Kluber. 1 down.
Got him to chase this time. Didn't get the one called, so he figured, man, I better be swinging at the next one that's close. That one was out of the zone.
Up comes Lorenzo Cain. You know, it's weird, but you go back to that last inning, and it all started when Corey Kluber just lost it there for a second. He walked Mike Moustakas on 4 pitches. And Moustakas is batting .151. And he fell behind Escobar, who then laced a single into left field. Then you get some bad defense, and it just culminated in a 4-run inning.
Shows you how quickly it can happen.
Yeah.
You're not on your game.
To center field, Michael Bourne makes the chest high grab. 2 down.
You know, after they had their 2 men aboard, they have a double play ball and a chance that Cabrera tries to rush. It was overturned. And then another ball here that was not a bad pitch off the end of the bat. Another double play that should have been turned and only got 1. So there was a number of outs given to the Royals. Now this is the team that is second to last in the league in runs scored. You cannot give extra outs and not give up runs. And the Indians did right there.
Mike Moustakas takes a strike.
3 unearned runs out of the 4. You have a 44 unearned on the year.
And it's 0-2. Santana fields it. And the inning is over. Royals go 1-2-3. We go to the 5th. 4-0 Kansas City. Indians baseball is brought to you by Sunnyside Toyota, a quarter-mile west of the Great Northern Mall on the North Olmsted Auto Mile. By Live-In Furniture. For the best deals on furniture and mattresses, shop Live-In. And by Kia. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. A 4-0 Kansas City lead as we go to the 5th inning. Lonnie Chisenhall will lead it off for Cleveland. Called a strike over the outside corner. And Vargas with a nice job there. Boy, did he pull the string, 73 miles an hour. And the count is 0-2. Last night with 3 homers and 5 hits in a single game in Indians history. Another short list that Chisenhall is now a member of. One of the things guys were commenting on last night as they were watching Lonnie have that night is that the foul balls he had. I mean, he was able to foul off so many pitches.
Well, and that's the key. When you get into the 2-strike mode, for you to, if the pitcher makes a good pitch on you, good hitters have a tendency to foul it off in hopes of getting a better pitch. And when they get one, they hit it. They put it in play. And last night he was able to do that. Hey, it's something that you can't do all the time. I mean, you're lucky to do it. I mean, you just see he was sitting maybe on that breaking ball, and he got a fastball, and he was so tardy on it, but he was able to just foul it off and stay alive. The pitch before that was a breaking ball way out in front. He fouled it over in front of their dugout.
Now, ball hit it up the middle, backhanded there by Infante, and the throw got him. Fine play by Omar Infante. Lonnie Chisenhall, after that terrific game last night, well, he got a special call asking for a piece of his equipment. That's our Here Right Audiology sounds of the game.
You know, if they're going to call and ask for it, they can have it. You know, it's you know, sometimes you got to give up, you know, a piece that maybe means something to you to, you know, give it to the game, and you know, I'm all for it. You know, I've been to the Hall of Fame once in the minor leagues, just, you know, walking through there, and just to have any piece of, you know, of equipment that I own or have worn or used or anything in there is, you know, it's a huge honor, a huge accomplishment. You know, just, it's a great thing, you know, for me, my family, everybody's so excited.
So Lonnie's bat will be headed for the Hall of Fame. He swings a Chandler maple bat. Chandler's a company that's started manufacturing bats in big league for big league players a few years ago. But he said he only has a couple on the road trip, so he's dipping into Michael Brantley's stash. Because he said, well, they've been working out for him pretty well.
Yeah, why wouldn't you want to take one of Brantley's bats?
Now the 1-2 down in the dirt. Off the end of the bat, right into the glove of Vargas. And he's making it look easy. 2 down.
Well, 10,000 fans will receive a new T-shirt by popular local apparel company GV Art. And Design. It'll be on Wednesday, the 18th of June. The Indians will take on Mike Trout and the Angels. Go to Indians.com and get your tickets.
Number 9 hitter David Murphy. Vargas has retired 8 straight Indians. Or make that 7 straight. Got him. So that'll end that streak as Murphy takes his base with 2 down here in the 5th.
He just couldn't get out of the way here. I mean, he's open and
got him on the back arm.
That ball hit him right on the muscle right there. Just jumped out. Back arm is right.
Now Michael Bourne, who singled his last time up. Bourne and Murphy, the only Indians to reach safely. Second time through the order. So the Indians haven't been able to make any adjustments. Second time through, now going through the lineup 3rd time tonight. 1-1. Chop to first, easy play for Hosmer. Inning over. Halfway home, and the Royals lead it 4-0. Indians and Royals wrap up this series tomorrow here at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Our coverage begins with Indians live at 1:30. First pitch at 2 o'clock Eastern time. Trevor Bauer will go for the Tribe. And for the Royals, it will be Yordano Ventura. The Royals juggled their rotation because of the rainout yesterday. Ventura was supposed to go tonight, and then it would have been Jeremy Guthrie tomorrow. But with the rainout, they pushed everybody back. Alcides Escobar going to lead off the bottom of the fifth here for KC. Only one of the 4 runs scored by the Royals tonight has been an earned run charged to Kluber. Off the plate foul. 0-2.
This would be a little different at bat for him this time for Escobar, who had the count in his favor the first time, 2-1, when he hit the ball solidly to left.
Just got a piece of that one to keep himself alive. Breaking ball and a little bit inside. 1-2.
See, they wanted that ball away, and it was in off the plate as Gomes had to go back in and retrieve it.
Couple of shakeoffs by Kluber, and Escobar steps away. Looks like the Tigers and White Sox were rained out tonight in Chicago. In the air to center field, and Michael Bourne will take care of that one away. In-game recap brought to you by your Toyota dealers. In the third inning, it's an RBI single by Omar Infante. And Eric Hosmer on an RBI groundout. That should have been the third out of the inning. Instead, a run scored, and then Billy Butler drove in 2 more. The Indians' defensive play in that inning costly. Gerard Dyson, 1 for 2. Dyson hit into what potentially was an inning-ending double play in that third inning, but they didn't get anybody out. Even if they get the runner at second base for the second out of the inning, then only 1 run scores in that inning probably for KC.
Yeah, it opened it up for him, is what it did.
That was the error committed by Cabrera, and then you saw in the scoring recap the ground ball that Hosmer hit to Santana. Had he fielded that cleanly, had a great chance at turning an inning-ending double play there, and then still only 1 run would have scored in the inning. But
there's the one
that's the one that set it all up.
Trying to get the double play before you get the first out is what he was doing. He ended up rushing. $11 errors this year for Cabrera.
Dyson strikes out. 2 down. 4th strikeout for Kluber.
Looked like a nice changeup right there, down and away to get the fastball hitter to swing at it.
Now up comes Omar Infante. Low with it. And it counts 2-0. We're going to the tongue depressor to try and dig out some of the mud.
Yeah, you can see that track is still a little slow from all the rain they've had in the last couple of days.
Bullseye, 2-1. 2 down here, bottom of the 5th. Royals lead it 4-0. This one comes with 2 outs, and it keeps the inning alive now for Eric Hosmer.
Dollar Dog Night will return home June 20th. The Tigers will be in town. It'll be Dollar Dogs all night long. You can visit Indians.com for your ticket details.
Hosmer came into tonight batting just .197 at home on the year. He has 25 hits in now 129 at bats.
Yeah, you'd say he's a much better hitter than that, huh? What we've seen in the past.
Well, especially a guy who seems like he's a line drive, gap to gap type hitter.
Well, I'll tell you what, one thing may be part of it is with the protection behind him this year, with Butler having the kind of year he's having. This guy can be seeing not as many good pitches, but he
hit that one out of sight.
There.
So much for his struggles at home, and it's 6-0 Kansas City. The 2-out walk kept the inning alive, and Hosmer made him pay.
Goes down and gets that ball, and boy, he stayed on it and hit it a long way. He hit his 3rd home run. Kluber gives up his 7th.
Slider over the outside corner for a strike.
That is the Royals' 29th home run as a team, which I told you earlier, last in the league.
Right back up the middle. And Butler's got his 2nd hit of the night. And Kluber had 2 outs, nobody on base. And now 3 straight have reached. 2 have already scored. And here comes Terry Francona to the top step of the dugout, looking out there wondering what in the world's going on. Now Mickey Callaway's going to come out and pay a visit to Kluber. Indians bullpen is springing into action. Carlos Carrasco getting loose now for Cleveland in the bullpen. Pitched an inning last night. Well, the walks have been crucial for Kluber here tonight. He doesn't walk many. He only walked 20 coming in to tonight in his 13 starts. But a 1-out walk, a 4-pitch walk to Mike Moustakas in the 3rd was his undoing in that inning. Or at least it started the undoing. It was compounded by the defensive problems. And then the 2-out walk to Infante. Got him into the meat part of the order now, and here's Alex Gordon.
Good pitch there. Get Gordon to swing over the top of it.
And a count quickly 0-2. Lays off, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You know, he got him to go after those first 2 down and in like that. You got to continue it on to see him make an adjustment. He did finally lay off the 0-2 pitch.
Bang foul. With 2 big runs here in the 5th, taking this from a 4-run lead to a 6-run lead. And the Indians have been held to just 3 hits through 5 innings tonight. Two and two. Strikes out to end the inning. But Eric Hosmer's 2-run homer with 2 outs here in the 5th as the Royals in front 6-0. Don't forget to tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have them shown during one of our telecasts this year. It's all courtesy of AT&T. As you can see by the body language there in the dugout, it would appear that Corey Kluber's night is over. Indians on the short end of a 6-0 score. And Jason Vargas has shut him down, shut him out. There's 3 base hits and hasn't a lot of hits since the 3rd.
Yeah, they had their opportunities early, not many. They were able to get to him, at least a guy on base every inning. And then he has settled in.
Yeah, they had the leadoff hit in the 2nd inning, and then 3 straight harmless balls popped in the air.
Cutting it, changing up, moving that little fastball around. Left-handers on the road for the Indians have been tough this year. They're 2-10 when they have faced them on the road.
The count here for Asdrubal Cabrera. The middle, backhanded there by Infante. Throw him up.
Well, fans receive an Omar Vizquel replica jersey. That'll take place June 21st. The Indians will host the Detroit Tigers, who will be in town, and you can celebrate the former shortstop's induction into the Indians Hall of Fame that day. Plus, enjoy Led Zeppelin fireworks following the ball game. Go to Indians.com.
Up comes Michael Brantley, 1 for 2. He doubled in the first, lined out to right in the third, and that third inning, you look back on that as a big one now, the way the game has unfolded, because there were back-to-back opportunities in that inning to maybe make something happen as Drupal Cabrera, sinking liner that Lorenzo Cain short hobby trapped it in right field. But Michael Bourne had to wait between first and second, and he was thrown out, forced out at second base by Cain, who made a heads-up play. And then the next man, Brantley, sent a scorching line drive that Cain raced back and reached up and grabbed. I mean, if Bourne ends up getting to second and Brantley hits one over his head, different story, because that's been the Indians' success for them with scoring early, getting the early lead. They're a different team when they do. Brantley hit, second tried batter to be hit by a pitch tonight.
Well, he knows. He's tried to go in a couple times to Michael tonight, and he's turned on him because he hasn't gotten him in there enough. But this time he made sure, I'm not going to give him a pitch, at least on that plate he can swing at. So it went up and in. It got him on the shoulder. He will take his base. Murphy was the other guy last inning. It was a 2-out hit by pitch.
Well, if you consider the Indians' 3 hottest hitters are Chisenhall, Brantley, and Murphy, they've plunked 2 of their hottest hitters in the game here tonight. Jason Kipnis takes a strike over the outside corner. He's 0 for 2 on the night. And Vargas quickly gets ahead, 0-2.
Well, here's a guy that when he pitches and he gets ahead of the count, he can expand his strike zone and get you to swing at his pitch, and he has done that a lot tonight.
Right back to him.
Goodness.
Vargas picked him clean. Like a magician, he just threw his glove at it, somehow snared it, and turns an inning-ending double play. Now Jason Vargas dealing a shutout tonight against the Indians, and it's time for the Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen as Carlos Carrasco will come on in relief of Corey Kluber here in the 6th inning. How many times do you see a team have a big game offensively and the very next game it's like somebody's turned the faucet off?
Well, I mean, that happens. I'm sure it happens a lot. He wasted all those runs. Kluber might have been sitting in that dugout last night thinking, hey, guys, save me a few for tomorrow. But it goes that way. How about the play that Vargas just made? That one, he had a right into his glove, no look double play. That's what they were joking with about in that you can open your eyes now and look in your glove.
There's a long fly ball deep left field. Brantley racing back on the track. He reaches up and makes a terrific grab to take extra bases away from Salvador Perez.
Yeah, he smoked that ball. It goes to show you how this ballpark is, how big that it plays. That ball was hammered, and Brantley just caught it maybe one step onto the track. Now, didn't you think that ball had a chance to get out of here?
Sure did.
I mean, this is a big yard, and if you're a pitcher, you have to love the pitch here.
I think Brantley's still a little ticked off getting hit. He went after that ball like he was mad at it. Swing and a miss by Lorenzo Cain, who's 0 for 2. No balls, 2 strikes. Sometimes when a team has a big game offensively, it is common that the next game they don't score, they get shut down. But the last time the Indians had a guy hit like Lonnie Chisenhall hit last night, drive in 9 runs in a game, Chris James back in 1991. They came back the very next game against Oakland and scored 15. Scored 20 on them one game. Came back and scored 15 the next.
Yeah, but the difference there is the Indians had to leave that ballpark where they scored their runs. They're 17 last night, and you're going back to a different ballpark.
Good point.
You know, you're on a plane, different park. Let's go. We got to crank it all up again.
Ironically, and a sort of sad irony, the guy that they beat in the second game of those back-to-back terrific offensive performances back in 1991 was Bob Welsh. Sadly enough, we learned passed away.
Yeah, I'm age 57.
There's a fly ball to right field, and David Murphy makes the grab. The Royals go 1-2-3, and after 6, it's 6-0 Kansas City. has pitched a gem here tonight, and he's helped his own cause too.
Boy, watch this. I mean, that ball was hit hard. Look, Escobar would have been there anyway behind him, but how he caught this, I don't know. There's one hopper and it goes right in. And he acted like it's no big deal. Just let me throw it off the side of the mound and get the double play. It was not that easy. It was not that easy.
He's thrown 89 pitches tonight, and 59 of those have been strikes. So almost a 2-to-1 ratio. Carlos Santana 1 for 2 on the night, leads it off for Cleveland. And it takes ball 1. Foul third base side. Even though the Indians left Arlington, the Rangers' offensive problems continued. They trail the Marlins 3-1 in the 6th.
They had an early 1-0 lead in that game. Yeah, they have not played well at home this year.
You know, you told me this earlier, and I couldn't believe it because I hadn't really looked at the standings in the AL West. At the bottom of Texas began the night just 2.5 games in front of Houston.
Yes, Houston's been playing much better. I think they've won 12 out of their last 16.
In the air to right field, Lorenzo Cain will make that catch for out number 1. Saturday, a full day of MLB action, beginning with the Twins taking on the Tigers on Fox Sports 1. Then it's Baseball Night in America on Fox as the Brewers host the Reds. Our MLB doubleheader begins Saturday at 4 Eastern on FS1, continues at 7, only on Fox. And how about those Milwaukee Brewers? Archie's old club leads the NL Central by 5 games going into tonight. I'm not sure anybody saw that coming.
Well, you're right. Not in that division. Everybody says, okay, it's St. Louis, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh. They didn't even consider Milwaukee. And boy, they're playing very well. They're getting very good pitching.
Their identical record home and road, 19-13 both home and away. That's pretty consistent. Meanwhile, in the NL East, Atlanta and Washington began the day tied for the top spot. And those Marlins just a half game back, and who would have thought they'd be sitting here early in June?
Well, their problem as well, and it's been sort of like the Indians. They've had issues on the road. They've been very good at home. Miami has. They're 22-11. The Indians 21-11. So I mean, that's how good they've been at home, and they're 11-19 on the road. Indians 12-20.
Gomes goes down swinging, and Vargas continues to dazzle. 2 down here in the 7th, his 4th strikeout of the night.
Yeah, he has mixed his pitches very well. Look at change up out in front. He's moved it in and out. He's added. He's subtracted. He's pitched a really good game.
Well, finishing up our look at the standings, you know, in the NL West, I don't know that the Giants are that big a surprise because they've got a good ball club year in and year out. They're there. They've got good pitching, but the Dodgers just hovering around the 500 mark. That's been surprising. Lonnie Chisenhall lines one toward left field. That'll get down for a base hit. Checks up on Gordon, and Lonnie's going to go into second base with a double. Lonnie has now hit in 8 straight games. And here's David Murphy on his sizzling teammate.
There's 3 or 4 extra base hits involved, and you know, maybe 4, 5, 6 RBIs. I mean, that's a special night. But when you're talking about 3 home runs and 9 RBIs and a run driven in every single time he's up, and just the quality of his at bats all year long has been pretty incredible. Last night was kind of a pinnacle, but the way that he's sticking with his approach, and just you look at his numbers, I don't know. He could be destined for a big year this year.
Well, he's got 17 doubles, 7 home runs, 32 driven in.
Well, he's been doing it all year. It's just something. His back was to the wall, and he came out, and it was his day. His time to shine, and he's carrying it through, and he's doing it very well. He's working hard at it. So, you know, nobody wants to talk about it. You just watch the game, and he's going to continue to do what he's doing if he can stay healthy. He's getting an opportunity to hit against left-handed pitchers now, and he's doing a great job this year.
Rayburn strikes out and the inning is over. Our team, or rather Jason Vargas, has simply mystified the Indians here tonight. Time now for the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Life is hard, buying a car shouldn't be. Yeah, you get a look in at Kauffman Stadium from our Panini's Overstuffed cam here tonight. All Royals, they lead at 6-0. Carlos Carrasco set him down 1-2-3 in the 6th. Liner to left. Brantley coming hard, makes the catch. 1 away. Top of the order now, Gerard Dyson. Reminder, we're right back on the air tomorrow early. 2 o'clock Eastern time. Indians and the Royals with a brief 2-game set here in KC. Trevor Bauer for the Indians. Against a hard thrower, Ventura for Kansas City. Coverage begins tomorrow at 1:30 Eastern time.
Quick turnaround here in KC.
Yeah. Quick and split. Ground ball in the hole and a base hit. Dyson's second hit of the night. Time for another Mazda game break. Here's Al. That is unbelievable how the bottom has fallen out on the Tampa Bay Rays. But I mean, you get shut out 3 straight at home. At home.
Hard to do.
I mean, it's understandable when it's Adam Wainwright. He's going to shut out a lot of people before his career is all said and done. But they lost back-to-back games to Seattle, both in shutout fashion.
Now things start snowballing on you in this game, and once it starts rolling, it's tough to stop.
You know, we all love Joe Madden and his sort of eccentric's not the right way to term it, but he thinks outside the box. He's not afraid to look at things in different manners. But you know, he brought a Seminole medicine man into the clubhouse before their game yesterday to try to shake things loose, and that didn't work. I mean, when you're getting down to that, when you're getting into that
you're reaching. Yeah, you're starting to reach.
Your bag of tricks is just about empty. You know, I've heard coaches say before, when you're going to get to that level of trick or some kind of gimmick, make sure you got your guy, your ace on the mound. He had David Price on the mound, and it still
didn't work. They were shut out.
They couldn't score.
Right.
Yeah. That's it for Carlos Carrasco. 2 down here in the 7th inning. Nick Hagedorn is next. On and 2 out here in the 7th. Eric Hosmer, left-handed hitter at the plate, so Terry Francona figures he'll get left-hander Nick Hagedorn a little work. Hagedorn delivers, and Hosmer fouls it straight back. Boy, Hosmer hit a screamer out of here in the 5th inning.
Yeah, he put a charge into that one. He has 3 ribbies on the day. Only his 3rd homer, though, for the year.
Fouled back again. Chased after. Did he go? No. They said he held up 1-2.
Watch him go down and get this Kluber fastball. And he left around middle of the plate. He gave it a jolt out in the right center field. Long way here in this ballpark.
Back out of play. Count stays 1-2. Another foul back. Ball in the dirt, another check swing, and a count back to even at 2-2.
You know, the two curveballs that he has thrown him, and Hagedorn now doesn't throw that slider anymore. He goes to that curveball. If he could throw for a strike, he'd get him. He's bounced 2 of them. So it's been all high fastballs, but the curveballs have been down in the dirt, and he hasn't chased them.
Hosmer didn't have a home run at home this year until Saturday night, and that was his first home run at home since September of last year here at home.
Hard to believe.
Dyson goes, 3-2 pitch. Right up the middle, another hit for Hosmer. Dyson goes to third. So Hosmer wins the lefty-lefty matchup here.
Well, he goes down. It's a fastball, but he just kept his hands in that hitting area long enough. That home run he hit was down in the zone. He was swinging at the high fastballs earlier, couldn't get on top of them and fouled them off, but you throw it down and he likes it. So he gets his second hit, keeps the inning going, and that's why I'm sure one reason Francona went to the bullpen to bring in Hagedorn. He wants to see Hagedorn match up against a left-hander and see what he does.
Well, now he gets Billy Butler, who's 2 for 3 on the night. He had the backbreaker hit in the third inning, the 2-out, 2-run single. He punched it through the right side of the infield. In case you joined us late, that was a backbreaker because the inning should have been over.
And 3 unearned runs.
But the defense made some miscues, and Butler made him pay dearly. I don't know if that guy sitting in the front row behind the Indians dugout, if he was, I don't know if he was moving to protect the young fan or a female fan, or if he just wasn't paying attention.
No, he was moving to protect. He was the shield, and the shield took the brunt.
Nice job then.
Yes, he did. Look at, he's rubbing it.
He took a rib shot.
Yeah, and it skipped off the top of the dugout, but he did his job. Well done.
Chivalry is alive and well in Kansas City. And Michael Bourne makes a terrific diving stop, and that ends the inning. 7 in the books in Kansas City. The Royals 6 and the Indians nothing. presented by authority of the Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. Indians Live brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. Comes your way next right here on Sports Time Ohio. David Murphy going to lead off the 8th for the Tribe. 0 for 1 hit by a pitch back in the 5th inning. Jason Vargas pitched 8 innings his last time out against the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, his last 4 starts have been really good.
But the only other time he's gone 8 innings was against Tampa Bay, and that was his 2nd start of the year.
When you look at the runs he's given up in his last 3, he's only given up 4 runs in the last 3 starts.
Hosmer dives and tags the bag ahead of Murphy.
Almost like Vargas was coming in as a blocker. We got to take a look at this and see if he gets in his way. Look at, he's going to run over the bag and impede, and he does the high hurdles, and Murphy's going to run right up his tail. But Hosmer got the glove in there, and Francona wants to ask him if there was any interference here.
Well, he's clearly beats him to the bag, does Hosmer. And Vargas is lucky that Murphy didn't spike him or really injure.
Well, and he wants to look at this play to see if Murphy didn't beat it.
We got 1 out here in the 8th inning, and I got to believe this is not going to be overturned because Hosmer's glove clearly beats Murphy to the bag.
Yeah, it does.
Unless he missed the bag. That would be the only
There's the bag
explanation,
right there.
but he tagged it.
And that was quick.
So 1 away, top of the order, Michael Bourne. Bourne 1 out of 3, his base hit coming back in the 3rd inning.
Vargas right on schedule. In his last start you were talking about, Matt, against the Cards, where he went his 8 innings, he had to set 117 pitches in that game, and he's right at 109 now.
Bourne sends a high fly ball to right, and Lorenzo Cain 2 away. Well, as promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite, and Vargas has just kept the Indians off balance. He's been a typical crafty left-hander here tonight.
Yeah, and just watch him changing speeds. He's been ahead of a lot of the hitters. Made a couple nice plays on the mound. But they really haven't been able to do anything. They haven't been in good hitters' counts. He's been very aggressive. They only have 4 hits. Three of the 4 hits have come off left-handed bats.
Lonnie Chisnell had a 2-out double in the 7th inning, but their only real scoring threat was in that 3rd inning when Michael Brantley scorched the ball to deep right field, and Lorenzo Cain made a terrific running catch. There's a line drive smash by Asdrubal Cabrera. It's his first hit tonight, and a 2-out base runner keeps the inning alive now for Michael Brantley. Brantley doubled in the first inning, lined out to deep right field in the third, and then was hit by a pitch up and in on the shoulder in the sixth. He hit him again.
That's 3 times.
I tell you what. Brantley just drops the bat, takes his base. But underneath, believe me, he's boiling. He's been hit twice tonight. Murphy's been hit once.
It's not intentional. I mean, you may think it's intentional. He's just trying to go inside. If you look at his first at bat, he tried to pitch him in. He left it on the plate, and Brantley smoked him. He's not hitting him for any reason.
Kipnis hammers it deep down the right field line. It's a fair ball up against the wall, rolls around in the corner. 2 runs are going to score. Both Cabrera and Brantley come home, and Jason Kipnis with a 2-out, 2-run double gives the Indians at least a little life here in the 8th inning, and it's going to knock Vargas out of the box.
This will be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. You see, they wanted it away. He left it inside, and he's getting tired, and Kipnis took advantage of it down the line, kept it fair. So after he had the first 2 out, gave up a base hit to Cabrera. He hit Brantley, and Kipnis made him pay.
Well, that's going to be it for Vargas. Tim Collins, the left-hander, is coming on next. Two down in the 8th inning, and the Indians down 6-2. Carlos Santana coming to the plate, and left-hander Tim Collins on now for Kansas City. He's 0-3 this year, and in 15 games an ERA of 4.70. He's walked 8, struck out 8 in 15 1/3 innings, and allowed 8 earned runs. And Santana blisters one right up the middle. Kipnis coming around third. He's going to score. And the Indians have cut the lead in half at 6-3 as Santana has his 2nd hit of the night and his 21st run batted in on the year. Now the Indians coming alive here in the 8th inning with their 3rd hit in the inning. All of this happening with 2 outs and nobody on base.
I mean, you're right. They have picked it up.
Wow, he's going to go right back to his bullpen.
He brought the, when he had Collins in, he let him, he let Vargas in there to get Kipnis, and then Santana, the switch hitter, it doesn't matter. And Collins gave up a couple of inherited runners in his last outing when he pitched on a Wednesday.
Well, that's going to close the book on Vargas, who gives up 3 runs in 7 2/3 innings tonight. They're trying to figure out who they want. A lot of different guys pointing in different directions here. They'll eventually figure it out, and we'll be right back. 6-3 Royals in the 8th. Was a very comfortable 6-0 lead for Kansas City. It's gotten a little dicey now here in the 8th inning. 1 on, 2 out. Yan Gomes will be the batter, and the new pitcher is now Aaron Crow. 31st appearance of the year. One of the more reliable Royals relievers out of that bullpen. Gomes a little late. 0-1. This all started with 2 outs, nobody on base, and an Asdrubal Cabrera base hit. And then Vargas hit Michael Brantley for the 2nd time tonight. Now Yan Gomes hits a high fly ball to left, but he didn't get enough of it. Gordon makes the catch shy of the warning track. The Indians get on the board with a 3 spot here in the 8th, but they still trail it 6-3. 6-3 Kansas City. Bottom of the 8th now. Gordon, Perez, and Kane due up for Kansas City. Nick Hagedorn, who got the last out on the 7th inning, will stay on the pitch here in the 8th. Indians bullpen is quiet at the moment. But just as I say that, they will get a reliever up. It's a right-hander. Might be Atchison.
Yeah, I think it is, yes.
Up high with a breaking ball, 1-0. And a fastball a little bit low. Want to make that 2 balls, no strikes. Gordon 0 for 3, struck out twice tonight. Three-man shift on the right side of the infield. He missed again, ball 3. Out goes Yan Gomes. And he finds the strike zone. Gordon fouling it back. And it's now 3-2. 25,540 the attendance tonight here at Kauffman Stadium. It was a rainy day all afternoon long, and it was drizzling at the outset here tonight, but all in all, not a bad crowd, not a bad turnout for a Tuesday night. The 3-2 fouled out of play. Central Division all bunched together. Only a game and a half separating the Indians and Royals, and only 2 games separating the Indians and Minnesota, who began the night in last place. Rip foul. Texas found their offensive stroke down in Arlington. They've come back to take a 5-4 lead over the Marlins. White Sox, Tigers, they were rained out earlier tonight in Chicago. (3-2) again, fouled out of play. This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat.
Remember, the only other lefty he came on to face Hosmer, and he got the base hit on a 3-2 pitch. Had to go deep into the count with him as well. So lefties, they don't seem to have problem picking him up.
Gordon sends one deep to right field and gone. Serves up a long home run to the left-handed hitting Alex Gordon.
Fastball, middle end, turned on. Dinger number 7. So the 2 lefties that Hagedorn had to face, both with hits tonight.
Well, we've got a timeout here in Kansas City. As Nick Hagedorn is out, Scott Atchison is coming on next. Of $1,204 raised for prostate cancer research. To make a donation, you can go online to homerunchallenge.org. The Indians had closed to within 6-3 until the home run by Alex Gordon off Nick Hagedorn here, leading off the bottom of the 8th. And up comes Salvador Perez, now 0 for 3 on the night. Another base hit for the Royals. In-game box score brought to you by your Hyundai dealers. Eric Hosmer has driven in 3 runs tonight for Kansas City. Comes Lorenzo Cain. I know there aren't many bullpens around the majors that are quote unquote 6 deep, 7 deep. Most teams have their core guys, 2 or 3 guys that they rely on when they've got the lead to finish the job and get the horses in the barn. But boy, the Indians, they've got to find somebody in that, if you want to call it that secondary group, to step forward, because right now they're going to the same guys an awful lot, night in and night out. Mark Sipchinski, Brian Shaw, Cody Allen are first, second, and third in the league in appearances out of the bullpen. So they've got to find somebody, whether it's John Axford, whether it's Scott Atchin. They need some other guys to step forward and start to carry some of the load.
Where Tito can go out and when the game's on the line, get them.
Yeah.
But also when you get into games that are a little bit out of control, don't be afraid to, give innings and get out of it.
Another pitching change. It's Josh Outman this time with 1 on and 1 out. City. We're in the bottom of the 8th with 1 on and 1 out. On our 3rd pitcher of the inning, and we are 4 batters in. And it's Josh Outman. Nick Hagedorn faced 1 batter here in the 8th and gave up a home run. Scott Atchison faced 2 batters, gave up a base hit and got a ground out. And now Josh Outman facing Mike Moustakas. Now there is nobody else throwing in the Indians bullpen, so it would appear that it's Outman now for the remainder. Unless the Indians rally, there won't be a bottom of the ninth, so they need Outman to get 2 outs. On 1. Salvador Perez with a base hit. He's 1 for 4 tonight. Moustakas,
What was that for? I mean, you've got the catcher on second base. He's not even leading off.
inside, he missed 2-1. And it's 3-1. Escobar, Alcides Escobar, right-handed hitter, waits on deck. Moustakas just crushes one down the line and gone. It's a 2-run homer, and that just about puts the lights out on this one. 9-3 Kansas City.
Third home run. Yeah, he's had a heck of a year against the Indians. He hasn't hit anybody the rest of the year, but against the Tribe he certainly has. This one hit the pole and went straight right. Hit the outside part of the pole, deflects into the seats. That's his third homer against the Indians this year. And he has 5 on the year.
Alcides Escobar takes a strike. That hit the umpire right in the foot. Gomes missed it, and it drilled Doug Eddings.
I'll tell you one thing I like about Eddings tonight. Any ball that's been in the dirt, and he throws them all back to the pitcher by himself, and he throws strikes.
He's going to need to ice his arm after this one's over.
Yeah, he is. You watch. He's been doing it all game. I've been watching him. He throws them right there. He doesn't, you know, a lot of guys will hand them to the catcher and let the catcher throw them. Not Eddings. Look at it. He's been anything in the dirt. There you go. We've got him at he's thrown 110 pitches tonight. Doug Eddings, I'm talking about.
Outman's thrown 9, and only 3 of them have been strikes. Back out of play. walks Escobar. And now we go to the top of the order and Gerard Dyson. Still only 1 out in the inning. Gomes with another block and Eddings with another pitch. When Miami came back on Texas, Marlins now lead at 6-5 over the Rangers in the 7th inning. With a good rip, and he fouls it right back.
Well, you're going to get good rips with left-handers when you fall behind the hitters like Outman has every hitter he's faced tonight. Eddings takes one too, right in the mask on the foul tip.
Unlike the direct blow that Jim Wolf took last night in Texas, that was a glancer, so he's okay. Slap foul, 2-2. Full count. Well, Outman has thrown 17 pitches since he came into the game. 6 strikes. And he's walked back-to-back hitters after giving up the 2-run homer. And now Omar Infante coming to the plate. And Terry Francona basically saying, figure it out. We're not going back to the bullpen anymore tonight.
Well, no, he's faced 3 hitters and hit the home run and back-to-back walks.
Now Omar Infante and an RBI bloop single back in the third. A little broken bat job off the end of the bat right into center field. He came around and scored in that inning. Then he walked and scored ahead of the Hosmer homer in the 5th. Backhanded by Cabrera. They go to second. There's one. Kipnis. They will not turn the double play. Escobar to third. 2 down. Good effort by Cabrera, who, that's not a good sign. Never like to see a guy massaging the back of his throwing shoulder. I don't know if it was when he landed or if it was on the throw, but he looks a little uncomfortable. Hopefully it's no big deal. Hosmer looks at a strike. Chopped to second base. Kipnis will go to first, and that'll end the inning. Royals tack on 3 here in the 8th, and they lead it 9-3. Express and Total Car Care. It's coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Fouled back out of play by Lonnie Chisenhall. Lonnie tonight 1 for 3, doubled his last time up, extending his hitting streak to 8 games. He's 15 for 31 during his hitting streak, and he mashes one into the gap in right center field, and he just stays locked in there at the dish. No hold with a leadoff single here in the 9th.
Looked like he picked out a changeup here. That ball going away, and you talk about it. That ball is up, it's up. That's why he gets hit. But he kept his hands back so nicely and stayed through the hitting area for a long time. So he gets back-to-back hits. The 8th hit for the Indians.
Here's Ryan Rayburn 0 for 3 tonight. Ball and 1 strike. Rayburn, then David Murphy for the Tribe here in the 9th. And a line drive single into center field for Rayburn. 2 on, nobody out. Revisiting the keys to the game, brought to you by Akron Children's Hospital. Indians didn't score early tonight. They didn't score at all until the 8th. Kluber didn't have it tonight, although he was kind of let down by the defense early in the ball game. Lonnie Chisenhall 0 for his first 2, but he has doubled and singled in his last 2 trips. And so after allowing 2 hits to start the inning, the closer, Greg Holland, is getting loose for the Royals, despite the fact they lead it by 6. Now, had the Indians not given 3 right back to the Royals in the bottom of the 8th, Holland would have been on to start the 9th inning.
That's true.
Murphy slaps it back out of play. But boy, this is one of those scenarios that plays off all too often in Major League Baseball. Managers decides, you know, we scored some add-on runs, we don't need to use our closer tonight, and then the next thing you know, you've got to get him up anyway. That doesn't mean he's coming into the game just yet, but
he's getting loose. 1,
maybe 2 more base runners, and that's going to change. Murphy hammers one to right field, and it's misplayed by Kane. It'll go to the wall. Chisenhall's coming around third. He's going to score. Right on his heels is Rayburn, and he'll be stopped there. And the Indians have runners at second and third with a run in here in the top of the 9th. It's now a 9-4 ball game, and I have to assume that Kane lost that ball in the lights.
Yeah, he did. He certainly did. And Murphy smoked this ball, and he runs it right into the bank of lights. And you see him stop, and he never really got leather on it. He couldn't believe it. He was waiting for it to come out. It never comes out. It's by him. So that'll go for a double for David Murphy. So give him a double and RBI, and that's a 10th hit. 7th straight game where the Indians offensive has had 10 hits.
And now Michael Bourne, who is 1 for 4. Takes it low, 2-0. Bourne comes. If Bourne gets aboard, it's a save situation. That's how quickly things can change. 3-0.
Well, now you know Holland's fired up. He is tuning it up so he can come into this game. You're right. There's certain times where they had yesterday off, so it's no big deal. He didn't pitch, but you do not expect to use it. The Indians did not have a run on the board until the 8th inning when they put 3 on.
Aaron Crow throws a strike. It's 3-1 with Asdrubal Cabrera waiting on deck.
Michael Bourne, take another one. Make him throw 3 straight.
Bourne slaps it foul the other way, out of play. Broke his bat, and Crow going to take the out at first base. 1 away. It looks like Ned Yost is going to wait until this is an actual save situation before he brings Holland into the game. So if Crow can work his way out of it, he's going to get the opportunity unless he gives up another base runner. Cabrera singled and scored in the 8th, and it was Cabrera who started everything for the Indians tonight offensively. They hadn't scored until the 8th, and he had a base hit with 2 outs. Nobody on base. And then 4 straight reached. And the Indians scored 3 times. They've got a run in here in the 9th, but they still trail it by 5. In the air, left center field. Gordon a long run, but he makes the catch over the shoulder style. 2 down. Rayburn tags and scores. Cabrera picks up his 23rd RBI. And now the Royals are 1 out away from closing this one out. This is going to be one of those rare times for the Indians in which they. Let's take a look back at Michael Brantley getting hit twice tonight, but that was when the starter Vargas was in the game. When the Indians have scored 5 or more, they're 24-3 on the year. This could be one of those rare opportunities or rare times when they don't pull out the victory. But if Brantley gets aboard, Kipnis would be next, and it would keep things interesting. Down to his last strike. With 2 down on the ninth. Out of play. Stop the Indians' modest 3-game road win streak here tonight with a 9-5 victory. Jason Vargas gets the win for Kansas City. He goes to 6-2. The loser is Corey Kluber, who falls to 6-4. With the win, the Royals get to 500. They're 32-32. They won 3 in a row and 6 out of 8. The Indians fall to 33-32 on the year. Time now for our key play of the game. It's brought to you by KeyBank.
Well, let's go back to that 3rd inning, and it was a bad one. There's a double play ball. Kipnis gets it over to Cabrera, who just tried to rush the play. Ends up never holding on to it. The ball drops out. That remained bases loaded, and just the 1 out. And they ended up having a big 4-run inning. That's going to be our key play of the game, brought to you by KeyBank.
Royals win it. And we've got some final thoughts coming up next.